my path was I thought I knew where I needed to go because of what I was good at and really what was kind of easy, the graphic design thing. And then I get down the road and I'm like, this is not who I am. I have made a mistake. And that's what caused me to, seek deeper and ask some questions. And I believe the Lord fashioned us before we were created. He knows who we are.
Matt Woolley Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the Matt Woolley Podcast. Today, I have a legend.
That's right.
Of Northwest Arkansas, a good friend and sales dynamo, the one, the only, David Farley.
Thank you, Matt.
David, thank you for being here, brother.
It's great to be here. Good to see you.
I always have a fun time with you, and I'm glad we could finally do this.
Say we need to do it more. So this will do.
Well, this time we're documented, so let's make sure we're careful about what we say.
Yeah.
If we do too much editing, then we won't have a show.
It'll be like 32 minutes of partial statements.
So for those that don't know you, which there's a lot of people in Northwest that know you, let me just go through it. So I know that you're a Siloam Springs High School graduate. Did you grow up there? Let's not get into it. You did grow up there. Okay, we'll get into it in a second. Okay. You are a graduate of College of Ozarks.
College of the Ozarks.
College of the Ozarks.
Bobcats.
Not to be confused with College Ozarks.
Yeah.
College of the Ozarks.
This is the one up by Branson.
Okay, nice. Oh, yeah, very cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, dude. So that's the one where you work through school.
Yep.
Dude, okay, so that's great. I want to talk about that because I know some people that have. I just learned.
I made it through.
I just learned about this literally 3 years ago. I had no idea it existed. I think it's an amazing.
It is.
Okay, so we'll get into that. And then you have also been a worship pastor at The Point from 2013 to 2020, so 7 years and then some tenure. You've also been an adjunct professor for applied guitar at John Brown University, and you've done that up until last year for 8 years, so that's a lot. And then obviously where a lot of people know you is you've been at TDS, now known as TDS IT, for a few years, for 18 years. That's crazy. So you've worked under Tim for 18 years.
I'm the only one who's made it.
That's awesome. You've been there longer than John?
John's the only one who's been there longer than me. He's
okay. I was wondering.
a year.
I thought you guys were neck and neck because I've always dealt with Tim, and I've always remembered both, and to a fault. You guys have grown so much, but there's times where I'm sorry, you guys try to send people our way, and I said, I don't know.
He's like, don't have a trouble with this guy.
Toby's amazing. Yeah. But TDS will always be Tim, David, and John. It will always be that way to me, which I've got some grace and frustration for that exact scenario because I too live that too. There's customers that
they're gonna.
I'm just Matt. You know what I mean? I've always known that. I do too. All right, well let's get started. So you born and raised in Siloam Springs.
I wasn't born there, but
you were. Where were you born?
Wichita, Kansas. That was a short stint. That was my dad taking a job over there, not liking how windy it was, and coming back, I guess.
Understand? Yeah, there's only so much. Wichita's a nice little town, but no, thank you.
My whole family's from Siloam Springs. Like my dad was born there. I think my grandson was born there, and I don't think he was born there. But 3 or 4 generations. So
nice. Siloam, that's awesome. Siloam's a great community. I've always dug the community. Didn't always dig the weather. Because there's been some rough patches,
storms coming in from Oklahoma.
And another thing too, what I don't know why it's in my head, which advertising does work. Let me be clear.
Okay.
But so back in the day, I used to. I wouldn't say that we were best friends, but we did a lot of work together and hung out some. But I knew, Uncle Steve Butler from, he wasn't my uncle, that's what everybody called him, from 104.9 X.
Yeah.
And I knew all those guys, especially back in the musician days, and they always ran, for whatever reason. I know you remember this shot, whether you participated or not, but ahead of our times. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so it was right on the edge. It was back before marijuana was, like totally no holds bar like it is now.
Right.
But there was this head shop that was on the edge, right on the state line.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, there was more advertising for that head
I
shop.
remember that. Yeah.
It was just, and so it's kind of drilled in. So anytime somebody says Siloam Springs, I can hear the voice of ahead of our times. Siloam Springs.
Wonderful.
Yes. But anyways, so much more than ahead of our times there.
A little bit more. Yeah.
But so great place to grow up. Did you grow up in, were you a suburban or a country boy?
Country.
Nice. Yeah. I'm from the country.
Grew up on the river. We had
Nice.
floods.
Well, people on the river, they're happy to give.
Happy to what?
Give.
Give? What do you mean? Like give the house away?
No. CCR song. That was a dad joke. People on the river, happy to give. You should have. I'm really disappointed. I thought you, of all people.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay.
Test me again in like 6 minutes. Maybe, like Smashing Pumpkins song or something.
Maybe tonight. Anyways.
Yeah, there you go.
Nah. All right, let's stop. All right. So you grew up in the country.
Yeah.
So is that where your love for? Because I know you're a big fisherman.
I do love fishing.
And you catch some monsters. You know where the honey holes are at.
I've got a few brush piles there. Yeah. I know where to go.
So
I mean, my parents bought a house, like it was their dream. It was a lake at the time, Lake Francis, just south of Siloam.
Oh, okay.
They bought a house right there at the edge of the lake. I mean, we had like 10 acres. It was like having your own little state.
Yeah, absolutely. Your little haven.
It was great.
That's awesome.
There. Then the dam gave way and it was just a river. The river is beautiful.
Yeah.
Until it's flooding and it's that's not beautiful at all. It's bad.
I don't like this.
Yeah, we grew up playing outside and going fishing, and it was awesome. I felt like I should have been in town with my buddies, like riding skateboards.
I understand. Yeah, I get you. Well, there's something to be said for rural America. There's nothing wrong with growing up in the suburbs or the big city. It has its advantages, but I have had you get different experiences, and I think you also, I don't know. Well, I'll say this, and this is just based on my experiences. There's no truth to this, other than my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying this is how it is. But I do think that it's harder for a country boy to adapt to big city living than vice versa. I've always said this. That, like, whenever you hear of these great retirement stories, you never hear them retiring and moving to the suburbs or moving. Yeah, you never hear them. Let's move to the city. Now that it's time to wind down.
That's your point.
Yeah.
That right there is
But the same turnaround in reverse. I remember coming up here in 2002 to Fayetteville, and Fayetteville wasn't like this big bustling city, but it was an adjustment.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fayetteville was big.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Coming over the crest, big city.
I have to go to the mall today. I've been to the mall like 6 months.
Gee whiz.
Yeah. It's exactly that.
It's awesome. So let's get into your, what was David like in school? High school.
Oh.
What was the thing?
No, we weren't going to be like talking about.
We don't have to go. We're not going to get into the dirty weeds unless you want to.
I don't want to.
Okay.
This is documented. No.
Okay.
It was let's see, high school. I played music. Played a lot of music.
Awesome. Fantastic.
That's when I got into music. I played sports and baseball and football, and then everybody got bigger than me, and I stayed the same size, like 13, 14. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So the opposite of Tim, That's why we work well together. Exact opposite. So that's when I got into music and other kinds of fun.
So when you were you like when you say music, were you talking about like rock bands, school bands, or both? Rock bands.
Not school bands. No.
Yeah, I got you. I wasn't either. Nothing wrong with it.
I just started my own bands and we played.
Nice. Totally see that.
Played a lot of heavy stuff, and
What heavy stuff?
well, we wrote it all ourselves, but we loved, like heavy bands like Deftones, Korn, all.
I got you.
And then before that was
Did you?
Smashing Pumpkins. That was
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. I got you. The Pumpkins are a great band. So what's the better album? Is it?
Siamese Dream.
Oh, it's just.
It's the only one.
Really? You don't give any credit to Melancholy?
It's great, but not. It's not. I mean, it's Siamese Dream. I think is one of the top.
I would agree.
One of my favorite albums.
Oh, I would agree. Yeah. That's my favorite as far as like front to back. But Melancholy. If they had done the best of Melancholy tunes, it probably would have been like just a major. It would have been like one of those start to front films. But I do too. But it's one of those ones you do have to fast forward a few. You don't have to, but you kind of do.
Let's go to the next.
Well, yeah. It's like, do I really want to hear Jelly Belly today? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Listen to it.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. There's nothing like that iconic intro to Siamese with. It's just,
that got me. Yeah.
Quiet. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, that's played a lot of music.
Fantastic. What instruments do you play?
I played guitar forever.
Right.
Yep. But then college came. I don't know if we're skipping to college.
Yeah, that's fine. We can flow with it. I'm just trying to give everybody a background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got into
the real David.
Yeah, that's right. Here it is. That's when I get refined and started playing acoustic instruments that you didn't.
Nice.
Plugged in.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I got into bluegrass and I just loved it. And I started playing banjo and steel guitar, like dobro. You ever heard of that guitar?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know all the instruments. I can't play them.
Dobro players. So
I wish I could play it.
Stand out.
I wish I could play it. That's a pretty.
Oh, it's awesome.
Can you do pedal steel?
A little bit. I bought one for an album that we recorded.
That is just, man, there's just something about it.
It's cool.
Like,
there's a lot of math. It's a lot of, you got to think more than like just play.
Really?
Yeah, you're hitting these pedals that are bending in a third or a second or whatever, and you're just constantly
yeah. See, I've never, I've always, all of the iconic, what I consider iconic country is like, 60s to 80s with the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's
and the old Hank Williams Sr. stuff.
Right. That whole, it's a voice of its own. It's like, like I always think of stuff like Conway Twitty, because they, it's just that it's just there. Yeah, it takes you right in. And but I've always admired people that could just play the mess out of one because
it's hard. Yeah,
I've never tried.
I got like a simpler one that didn't have a ton of pedals on it, and I learned what I needed to, hit those licks, and recorded an album with this last band I was in. It.
That's cool. That's cool. Are there any? Do you know any guys in the area by chance that do it? See, I've never run into one. No. You see, that's the thing. I've never run into one. Like they're like a dime. They're not like a dime a dozen. It's trying to fake it out with another instrument. You just can't do it.
That's right. Don't run into any pedal steel player. I'm sure there's some hiding somewhere.
I have heard some of your music before. Stuff I've seen you post on social. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I played with Sons of Otis Malone. Still play with them. Just haven't been doing a lot of gigs lately. But that's been really good. Still good songwriters. All Siloam Springs boys.
So that's cool. That's real cool. And there's a lot of good musicians in Siloam. I've met a lot of good musicians from Siloam. It's kind of a hub. It is. It really does. There's got a lot. They're all over Northwest, obviously, but what's funny is for whatever reason, like when I was putting bands together in the early years up here, it's like, oh, great. It's like, yeah, we can get together. And I said, where do you live? He said, why don't you just come over to my place? Where do you live? I live in Siloam. I'm like, oh, great. A 45-minute drive. Nothing. Right.
Some business.
I can either go through 412 or I can go through Lincoln and get there. So let's talk about college. So I didn't know this. I noticed from your, resume that you actually went for graphic design.
I did.
So, did you actually got a bachelor's in graphic design?
That was the plan, so I was stuck with it. But it wasn't too many years out. When I graduated, I got a job in graphic design And then after a few years, I'm like, I can't do this, Lord. You got to send me somewhere else.
Really? What was driving you nuts? Okay, so I understand the industry, obviously. So what was it that was driving you nuts?
Oh, I didn't know that I wouldn't like sitting behind a computer screen all day and then going home and doing like freelance at night, just, for extra money and stuff. It was easy. So like when I was in high school, the reason I chose the degree was I was good at art and I couldn't think anything else. I'm like, I just know I need to get to college and get through it. And graphic design sounds like a good path. And I just stuck with the program and got it done.
Well, do you still use it today at all for anything? No, not at all.
I'm done.
Don't even touch it.
Burned out.
It's over.
Design.
Wow. So you haven't touched it in 21 years.
Put a couple decades behind me. Maybe I'll do it later. No, I got to where I was doing it a lot, and I was freelancing, and I wouldn't use it as a hobby because kind of guitar took over that place, and fishing too. So you just don't have time for everything.
I understand. There's only so many hours in the day. And your family, man, too.
Kids.
Yeah, right.
Your wife.
So, yeah.
That's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
goodbye.
You don't say. And this sayonara. Okay, so let's talk about, I see that in 13, wait a minute, there's a jump here. Or is there?
I know not everything's on there.
Okay, I just used your LinkedIn. I use your LinkedIn is what I use. You need to update your LinkedIn, David Farley.
That's the
how are people supposed to stalk you?
Right. I don't know.
So what did you
Facebook, Instagram.
So you got out of school or college and you did graphic design for a couple of years.
So what's not in there is the cool thing about where I went to college, hard work you.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Everybody respects it, so you can get hired just like that because not only do you have a degree, you also have ideally like 4.5 years of work experience because you have to work on campus while you're going to school, and that's what pays for.
And when you get out, it's paid for, right?
Exactly.
It's completely paid for, right?
No debt.
And that's an amazing concept.
It's a big deal. It was great, dude. I mean, you work on campus. Yeah, what were my jobs on campus? I worked in my main thing, there's a print shop on campus. So I worked like where I studied. I did like I used to run a press downstairs.
Oh, so this is where you became familiar with print setup. Got it.
Yeah. I did all the jobs. And so like, when you're helping co-manage the print shop and did all that. And then to help pay for room and board during the summer, which I did a couple of years, I was a plumber.
Nice. Me and you have parallel paths, so like
you're a plumber.
Well, I did everything, dude. So like I did a little bit of retail stuff, but mainly my main and I've done stuff like working like when I was younger. I always worked since I could make money. I loved money.
Yeah.
And to a fault whenever I was younger, but I've done anything from working in a paint shop to working at Old Navy a little bit. Yeah. But my priority moneymaker was being a waiter.
Yeah.
And so I did that for quite some time. And
you were a good waiter.
Oh, I was.
Like the best waiter on the staff.
Absolutely. Yeah. 120%. Not to be for myself, but it was like I get along with everybody. And I was always the guy that could go between crowds, and you're kind of the same way. Just about, you can just talk to just about anybody. Right, talk to a tree if you think it's lit.
Yeah, right.
And
maybe not as much as you,
but yeah. Well, thank you. A little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, I did that for about 2.5 years, and so I was getting out, and I was going to go. I was actually going to go thinking about going to school, but I got a part-time job in the summer working for Simmons Bank, and I had a mentor at the time that basically, believe it or not, somewhat kind of talked me out of college. I really honestly didn't want to go, but I wanted to go, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to commit to it just yet, right. But I was going to do it. And he was like,
no money there except.
Right. That's part of it. Then another thing was too, I was decent at it, but I was also a little bit of a partier. Mm-hmm. And so I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall and was like, hey, why don't you just chill out for a second and kind of get you got something going on here. Get a grounding, and then you can go anywhere in the state because I'll make sure you get a spot anywhere you work. And so that's what I did, and I kind of rose the ranks a little bit as a young dude. And then I decided, because of several different circumstances, I wanted to move to Northwest Arkansas, and he got me a job up here. But anyways, I did that for about 7.5 years, 8 years, kind of worked myself up. Dream had become a nightmare, and so literally it was also during the 07, 08 horrible times. And it was just bad time to be in banking, and I'd kind of had enough of it. Several different circumstances happened. But anyways, in that 2 years' time before I figured out I wanted to, well, I say I figured out, I call it Lord leading me in direction.
Right, yeah.
I did all kinds of stuff. I built cabinets, I did plumbing, I did maintenance work, like mow lawns, just whatever. I kept busy. I just kept busy, but
that
it gave
was
me
after the finance. Why you're trying to figure out what to do.
it was a very humbling experience too, because you go from being like Mr. Cool banking guy,
right,
to working hard stuff and people not giving a crap that you had a prestigious job somewhere. So I don't care. You got a cabinet to build. You got a cabinet to build. Yeah, that's it. So it was good for me, but I did all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And I would never take it back in a million years.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And then were you doing something with HVAC?
That is between. Well, I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but I will answer the question.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm going against our culture code. I'm being interesting, not interested. And so you're supposed to be interested, not interesting. If you're not just joining us at the Matt Woolley podcast, I'm talking about myself.
It's going to be great. We're going to last an hour.
But I did. That's another story. When we started Design Signs, we had a little bit of success, for our size. We were very small. But decided we kind of figured out we had a thing going, and so we decided we were going to start an HVAC company while we did it. I have some good stories and some great analogies in regards to why that was a good and why that was a bad idea. But we don't have time for that today. Maybe near the end of the podcast. Yeah, so let's move forward. I'm here to talk about you, David. So you did all kinds of stuff. So what were you doing in between?
Well, so back to Hard Work U. I mean, the great thing about getting a degree and then also getting work experience in your field while you're getting your degree is that when you apply for jobs, you're
done deal.
Yeah. And which, I probably, in hindsight, I would have gotten a different design job, but it was just kind of it was the first one, and it made sense at the time. So
who are you working for?
The Herald Leader, all part of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. So I won't make Arkansas.
Nice, so fast.
So yeah, I was like, I'm talking the Monday after I graduated, they're like, when can you start? When can you come back to Siloam Springs? And next thing I knew, I was back in Siloam, and I didn't know how that happened. But, I needed a job.
Funny.
That's right. I needed a job. And, I did that for about 3.5 years. So, you start out at the bottom. You're just a designer, just designing ads for companies. Hitting deadlines, right? So I did that and for a couple of years, and then I was the manager for a little design group, making sure everybody does what.
Are you a natural manager?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I love people. I love helping them.
Nice.
And I can see where all the pieces fit.
Yeah, got a vision for it. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
I like doing that.
I figure.
So yeah, I did that, and then after a while, after a year and a half of that, I think it was like 3.5 years total with the newspaper out. That's when I was crying out to the Lord. Like during that time, I had actually really met the Lord and started following him, and got to this point where I remember I had a prayer meeting by myself one night in this theater room at our church. I was the only one there because I had a key, and I was just like for over an hour just hollering out the Lord, just trying to get it all out, just going after it, asking him for a change. I'm like, I don't know why I'm not happy. I don't want to go down this path. I don't like where I think it leads. I just kind of felt like I was drowning the more I thought about doing design work and staying in that, and I just needed the Lord to move me something different. So
take you to a different pasture.
Yeah, and that was one of those kind of key moments, because I remember at the end of that time of just crying out to the Lord. I mean, getting after it. I just felt him just speak to me. I felt like he said, "We're going to make a change." I just kind of felt,
you just know.
Yeah, I was like, all I know
felt in your spirit
different. Yeah, and I was like, I feel
trusting in the Lord.
You let me know.
Yeah,
when we're going to make this change. So, and that's how I met Tim. So this is a pretty cool story. After that happened, I don't know what the time frame was. It wasn't too long. It was probably weeks or months or something, but I was going to church with Tim at the time.
Ah, okay.
Like, you know, it's one of those things. I walked into church and I see this giant waving a flag during worship, and I was like, "Who's that guy?" Like, oh, this is what the women usually do. This is what it is. There's usually not many guys, let alone, you know, ex-football players. So, of course, he caught my eye, and I kind of developed a relationship with him through some friends and stuff. And so, you know, that prayer meeting moment happened, and then a few weeks or months, whatever it was, later, I had this, I felt like I had the Lord like really speak to me about, this is crazy. This is another one of those moments, so it's pretty neat.
I have had some myself, so keep going.
Talk about this?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh,
That's
yeah,
good.
dude. No, it's my show.
As usually,
We talk about we talk about Christianity in here all the time. I am a professed Christian, and no holds barred. Whatever story you got to tell it.
Well, so time goes on, you know, I'm like waiting for whatever the change is, Lord, and just, you know, working, going about, playing music, whatever. And I woke up one morning and I just had this like reoccurring, like almost like a melody that I was singing without thinking about it. I woke up and I was like, in 3 days, you'll have a new position. In 3 days, you'll have a new position. It kind of kept, like it came out of nowhere to the point where I remember I was like walking to the shower because I just woke up. I was like, where did that come from? Like, I didn't make this up. So I was pretty early in like, you know, following the Lord and listening to the Holy Spirit and all this stuff. And so I just stopped and I'm like, okay, I didn't make that up. This is either the Lord or it's just, you know, whatever. It's nothing. So I was actually dating, who's my now wife at that time, Jessica. And I called her and I told her, I'm like, hey, I know I'm kind of weird, but I had this thing. And in case something happens in 3 days, I want a witness. Like, I want some proof. She's like, all right, whatever. So I told her, and I kid you not, dude, 3 days later, I forgot about it after that. Just forgot about it. 3 days later, I'm out at my girlfriend, you know, my Jessica's parents' house, and Tim was there, and we were just hanging out after church or something. He came up to me and he goes, hey, I got a position you might be interested in. And I'm just sitting there. I'm out the pond, like fishing, because they had a little catfish pond just in the front. And I remember thinking, like, there's something about this. And I had to do it. It was the exact opposite of the path that I had chose. My path was like, how can I put on headphones, listen to music, be by myself, do some ads, not be out and about in everybody's business. And then Tim is like, here's what I need you to do. I need you to go visit people you don't know and get and buy stuff from you. Oh, it's like, all right, Lord, this has got to be you, because there's no way I would do this. I was terrified of the idea. And we can talk about that more, but that's how I got into sales. It was a Holy Ghost moment.
That's awesome, man. And you've been there for 18 years, so obviously,
Yeah,
it wasn't the right move. I mean, it wasn't the wrong move. Excuse me, it wasn't the wrong move. It was the right move. That's awesome.
That'd be a whole nother show just talking about what has happened in me since then versus now.
Well, I find it funny too. If the things start happening now, I am not, and I'm sorry to anyone that's listening, or if you're this way, David. Now, I'm not like I'm not a name it and claim it Christian. I am a guy that, you know, it has to be within, you know, God's will. You know what I'm saying? But I do 100% believe that God listens to His people, and I do believe that if you are obedient to Him, there are things that there's paths that you don't know exist, that when you're obedient to Him, He shows you the way.
He does. When you come to Him, it's pretty simple.
Right.
I think
Absolutely.
You spend time seeking the relationship, you get results.
100%.
Not that that's what you're looking for.
You know what, that's where the heart is. I believe that's where the heart is. So you know that, I mean, it's just it's one of these things too, and you have to be careful about saying this, but you know the saying, you can't outgive God. I truly believe that if your heart is in the right place, if you're not doing it for gain, you're just doing it to doing in obedience.
Yeah.
God knows your heart, and God will give you gain. Now that doesn't mean it's monetarily. Or it doesn't mean it's, you know, you're going to inherit land or, you know, or something or whatever. You know, it doesn't always stack it, but I don't believe in coincidences, and I believe that there's path and purpose for everyone, and that's what the Lord truly wants. He just wants obedience. And
Connection.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's about a relationship, you know, and like a good leader and like a good father, and like a good friend, that's what all of the above do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I totally get it.
Deep.
That's all right. Let's get into it. That's what we do here. If Lord willing, if people want to. Some people don't always go there, but I don't mind going there.
Right.
I mean, nothing's off the table.
Yes.
So, excuse me. So, at what point? Because in the middle of all this, you did a little bit of a worship pastor deal. So, did is that Lord leading you?
Yeah, that was definitely him for a season. It's something I worked out with Tim. This is one of the great things about Tim.
I remember when you did this.
Yeah.
Because here's what he told me one time. And I see this is again where I think, because Tim doesn't always spill the beans, but he does like to brag about his people.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, this was many years ago, he was talking about you. This was before TDS IT. This is when you guys were in Fayetteville.
Okay.
But I remember he said something along the lines of, I said something like, I told him I really enjoyed David. I said, I think David has a really great spirit and really, but it's true. And, but I remember him saying something along the lines of, he said, you want to hear something cool or something like this? I can't remember how it got addressed, but we were over there at the Fayetteville location. Y'all had done us a solid. Something had happened, and y'all had to help us with something.
Print something for us.
Right. And anyways, he said something along the lines of, I'm dragging this out, but it was like, you want to hear something interesting? I said, yeah. And he's like, David came to me asking about needing more. I don't know if it was the professor thing or if it was something.
Probably the worship pastor thing.
But I think it was a worship pastor thing. But he said, and he said he needed more time to kind of do like that. And I said, no problem. Just make sure you're meeting your numbers. And he said, what's funny is, he said, I gave him the time, and then it's like his numbers doubled.
They did. I got rid of all the extra stuff. It didn't matter.
I was like, whoa. And so it was the best of both worlds. He got more than what he asked for, and you got more than what you asked for.
It was, that's exactly.
I thought that was pretty awesome. But I believe that's how God works.
Yeah, it was definitely, that was all part of his plan thing, just the way it all happened. But Tim was, so I was saying, that's one of the cool things about Tim. He was open to that idea. Most employers, like if I came to you and I worked for you, I'm like, hey, can you give me I need a day and a half off a week so I go do this other thing I want to do. Take 1 foot out, keep it out there,
Yeah.
And keep doing what you already asked me to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Most employers aren't going to think that's a great idea. But, he just said,
he had faith and gave it a shot.
He did, man. It, paid off. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I did that for years, man. It was really good. Yeah.
That's awesome. It
led to the guitar professor thing, which was awesome. I mean, I'm like you. I'm just kind of a natural musician. I can play. I never practiced.
Yeah.
Ever. I hate it.
Yeah. I
just pick it up and do it.
Go for it. Yeah.
And then, I'd work out parts and stuff to make it sound the way it's supposed to, but I never really practiced. And so when I got that job at John Brown, they hired me and they didn't even know I couldn't read music.
Wow.
And I'm teaching all these kids that are
was that a struggle?
Music.
Was that?
Yeah, I had to all you gotta do is stay 1 week ahead of students, and you're good to go. So I pulled that off somehow. It was a lot of work, and I learned a lot, and it was good and fulfilling and all that. But I learned some jazz and.
What was the
stuff
what was it? Yeah, so that's where I need to. I like all the stuff that you're supposed to know, all the circle of fifths and all these things.
It's fun to learn.
It is fun to learn. It's just you have to really focus. I like
fun too much, so I never sat down and disciplined myself.
What was the biggest struggle doing that?
Reading music took me a while. Understanding just some of the jazz theory concepts and playing it. Like you got students, like when I first took the role, I had to teach a student he was a senior and he was a monster. This dude could play. He's killer. And I could play, but I couldn't play the stuff he was playing. He was professor, and so I had to fake it till you make it kind of thing. So that was hard. Was having to watch him play, transcribe John Coltrane saxophone solos on guitar, and I'm sitting there I could do that if I had 12 hours a week to practice like a college kid, and that's what I had to do. But I got jobs,
right?
And I just
Right.
I don't know why I'm here, kind of thing. But I'm supposed to be here. So that was the hardest part. But after a while, I got to where I could play a lot of things. But it just time to practice was hard. I just didn't have time. I got kids.
Well, you're kind of getting paid to practice in a way.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's best of both
So
worlds.
I figured out. I had to just tell myself, man, you just stay ahead of the students, shepherd them well, hold them accountable to practice, and it was great.
That's awesome. So let's switch over to TDS IT.
Yes.
TDS IT, Northwest. No.
Sell the rest. Wait, no. What's our slogan? Wait. Sell the best and fix the rest.
Sell the best and fix the rest.
I don't think that's
shout
our
out to
slogan
yeah, I don't think so either. But shout out to Tim Stanley if you need killer printers or killer IT.
That's right.
There's only
Local service.
Local service. Yeah, I will say you guys are on it like white on rice.
That's right.
The
That's what sets us apart, man. We got a local help desk. Everything's local, and that's what matters after we.
And conveniently placed in Lowell, so everyone can access it.
Switzerland, Northwest Arkansas. We're so neutral.
I'm sorry.
I'm using all Tim's lines. I can't help it.
The Switzerland, Northwest Arkansas. That sounds like
That's his line.
that is amazing. Oh, that's great. Oh, jeez. I'll give you street cred. I know Tim's gonna watch this, so Tim, I'll give you the street cred.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Line. He trade.
That's awesome.
I can use it.
Now, there's a lot of great businesses in Lowell, by the way.
It is perfectly located.
It is. It really is. So let's talk about real quick. So what does TDS IT do? Top level.
Top level. I mean, we provide excellent, top, best-in-class equipment. So we're talking.
What kind of equipment? You got it. You're on
printers. Yeah, printers, copiers.
What's your ideal customer for that side of the business?
Our ideal client is, local decisions who have. I mean, they're not huge. We're not going after Walmart, Tyson. We can handle departments and things like we do that at University of Arkansas, and a lot of schools. Smaller school districts are ideal. We just somebody who we can do a great job servicing.
My mind has been as down to earth as mom and pop who needs a printer, all the way up to the department that needs 20, 40, 50.
We just did a sale yesterday that's over 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all over the country. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. That's awesome.
It's a lot of details.
A lot of detail.
It takes some time, which you got to remind Tim of.
I understand.
Yeah.
Is Tim a vision guy or a details guy?
He's a vision guy.
I figure.
And immediate results.
I literally just had this time. Well, so there's birds of a feather. Look, I'm not gonna rag on him because I literally before I came over here, I literally had this talk. So there's 5 lines, right? 5 lines. Just picture almost. Well, let's do 6 for the sake of a guitar. There's 5 between the strings, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So details people, ops people, a lot of people just live on this one line, and that's okay. They live on the one line. They do their one thing, and that's what they like to do, and that's cool. They're really great at this one line. Yeah. And then there's details ops people, and they're that line plus the top 2 lines, but they can understand all those 3 all the way across the board, right? And then there's the visionaries. The visionaries actually live on that very top line, and they know just enough details, just small increments all the way down the side to understand it.
They can't get into ironing out every single little detail like the other people can.
Or they'll screw it up, and that's me.
That's right. That's 100% right. But they have the perspective that helps everyone else make sure they're doing the right thing.
100%. Just enough to be dangerous is what I call it.
It is dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Again, shout out to Tim Stanley at TDS.
No danger. No stories.
I love you, Tim. Yeah. All right. So moving forward, what were, because honestly. And let's talk about your career in sales, because we try to uplift people here that listen to this podcast, because we have pretty random. Our demographics all over the place on different platforms, but I really want to talk to people that are, getting into their careers, or just because it's tough, especially in sales. Being a young guy in sales, you can have the gift of gab, but you still got to know the facts, and that still doesn't mean you have the sales chiseled out. Taking an order for a steak and making sure you get the drinks right, or a far cry different than fries with that. Yeah, is a little different than So, give your perspective on your 18 years of sales, and what first comes to your mind? What's the advice on top of that?
Specifically for starting out?
Starting out to now, top level. Let's get into it.
You got to have a system, because at some point it gets, your willpower is not enough. Your pipeline is going to dry up. You have to just have a basic foundation of a system, like, hey, like a playbook. Here's the things that are important to make sure I always have more than enough to work on, because you're going to do some great things. You're going to close some sales. You're going to take care of your clients, and then you're going to start forgetting about some of those other activities you'd rather not do, cold calling, consistent, proactive follow-ups on your current clients that aren't in any kind of buying cycle, and just taking care of people. You're going to be focused on whatever is right in front of you. And then at some point you just you forget all the other things you should be managing. So what's really important is make sure you have a plan. You're looking at every day.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about.
There's a lot of little things that can.
With that, let's talk about the reflection of that plan, because I think that's important. So, in the words of Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Rethink it all. Yeah.
So. At what point, do you reflect and say, because I know you've had some, everybody in sales does it, but, at what point do you reflect and say, maybe I should change this plan? How attentive are you in you see what I'm saying? Because when you first start, it's probably a little better now after 18 years.
Yeah. I changed it all the time. I don't know if that's a personality thing. I like new adventures. I like when the season changes. I like new things. It keeps me interested. It's fun. But there's going to be some basics, like you got to make sure you got some kind of simple prospecting plan that's sustainable. Going after cold calling, new business somehow, whether it's on social media or whatever that plan is. You have to have a good plan for taking care of all your current clients. You don't want to just sell something and leave them alone and come back when it's time to buy something new. You have to have a plan for just current sales cycles, things that are in front of you. But I think you've got a lot of flexibility within those areas to be creative, to tweak it. And I've done that, countless times. And some things work better than others. And some things you just keep going because they work and they're simple. But I love the idea of tweaking it, on a, like revisiting it on maybe even a quarterly basis, or whenever you feel like you need to.
What's your advice to guys that are struggling with or just getting started out in the cold calling side of the business?
Just do it. You got to get over it.
Well, here's spoken like a true dad.
Yeah, get over it. Get in the pool. Yeah. I hated it because I was very apprehensive when I first got into sales, and in Tim's training program, it was like, well, just go out there, get your nose bloody, come back, and we'll talk about it. That was his training. That was the playbook, So I did plenty of that.
Did he give you any? Did he give you? Because I know he was. Because he got trained by the big boys.
Yeah.
And so
he would connect me with different trainings. Yeah.
How was he at passing that along though? Just curious.
Oh no, he was busy selling. But he, to his credit, he brought me along.
He'd sensei you. He'd
be like, just set this up, and get the meeting, and then let me do my thing, and I would just listen. And I'd sit there and then write down the promises he made to make sure that we kept them. I got really good at that. Yeah,
that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, you had something else you just said before that. I was kind of answering.
I'm sorry.
I forgot what it was. Maybe important.
The listeners are going to be like, you idiots. You guys just literally telling them what it is.
You don't know? Doesn't matter.
Cold calls.
Hey, cold calling. So yeah, you just have to do it. You have to like the way that worked for me is I would just tell myself, I'm like, all right, every Tuesday morning until I hit 20 people in person or whatever it is, I'm just going to do it. And it always starts out, for me, it was difficult in the beginning, but by the fourth or fifth visit, it didn't matter what happened. I was like, this is kind of fun. I kind of like this. I got nothing to lose, and I'm comfortable doing it. So having a cadence is really important. But if you really want to get over it, and you do, this is something we tried one time. We had a sales coach. It was a guy that I love named Dale Dupree. And one of his tactics, which a lot of people did not like, was creating moments of what would he call it? Curiosity.
Okay.
So imagine that piece of paper there was your sales pitch, right? And you had your name and who you are and, something kind of fun and tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff about like, hey, if you're interested, seriously, give me a call. But you walk in to a business, you've got that in your hand, you're saying, hey, who do I talk to? I'm with TDS, we do printers and IT services, this and that. And they just say, oh, that's Jack, and he's not here, which is usually what happens. Or if he is there, say he comes out and you give you a little pitch, but 95% of the time they're like, yeah, we're good. We'll call you if we need something, And that's when you leave your business card and you leave, right? But you take that piece of paper and you look at Jack and you like slowly like crumple it.
I remember this. I remember Tim telling me about this.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun because you had to get over it, But I'm talking like slowly while you're looking at him. Not to intimidate him, but just to suck all the air out of the room, to create a memory, a moment, and some kind of curiosity, And we would do that. I would do it because I had to test the theory so that I could prove it to my reps that it worked, Because I got to go do this, So I would do that and I'd give it to them, and oh man, the reactions were. Some people loved it. They kind of immediately got it. They're like, oh, I get it. This is just trash because we're gonna throw your business card away anyways or whatever. Other people did not get it, and they're like, get out.
Really?
Yeah. Because they were uncomfortable, and they thought we were trying to. I don't know what they thought we were trying to do. They're like,
who's this pompous dude?
Yeah, right.
So you did create a memory.
We created memories all over town, all over the county. And
was there more success? Was there more success than not?
I tested enough to get a deal, and it worked. I had this owner of this cabinet shop, full circle. Here we go. It was a shop that I didn't really know what to do in there. I'm like, I feel like there's business in there, but I just never called on him. I'll do it. So I crumpled it up, and I had to leave it with the receptionist, and she gave it to the owner, and he called me back. And he goes, or no, I called him because you got a whole follow-up sequence because they're probably not going to call you. Right. And the follow-up is like, hey, did you get my info? What info? You didn't throw it away, did you? And he's like, try to have fun with it. Like, my crumpled up piece of paper. That's my info. You didn't throw it away, right? And this guy in particular is like, I was you. It's like this real long pause. I'm like, what's he about to say next? And he goes, why don't you come see me tomorrow, 9:00? I'm like,
boom,
worked.
Boom.
Yeah, I found a problem.
Well, that one was worth being a whole lot.
And we don't do that much now, but it still helps you. Yeah, in the right situation, it can be kind of fun, but I still like it. And it helps you get over cold calling to answer your question.
Yeah, as well, man, that's pretty rough. I'll be honest with you. I remember Tim telling me about that, and I was like, what? And because I was thinking, I was like, that's definitely. He goes, what do you think? And I was like, that's definitely memorable.
It's yeah, it's not perfect. It's a tool. It's a tool you can use. We did a bunch of other fun stuff, man, like empty donut boxes for people who had just been ignoring us that we knew we could help. We'd show up with an empty donut box, and inside it'd say, hey, sorry, I ate all the donuts, so I was waiting on you. But then you had to have a real box of donuts behind the desk they didn't get mad. And
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. It's
good.
I also know that you guys keep it very accountable because you'll have to wear a T-shirt if you don't.
That's right. Tim tell you about this?
Well, not only did he told me about the idea, and I was like, that is glorious. I was like, hey, would you send me one of those? Because he showed me the designs. As these are epic, and the wonderful man that is, he sent every one that you have.
Oh yeah, every color.
And it was awesome. And I was like, dude, that's epic. So talk about that real quick for the listeners.
Our culture and our sales culture is I mean, there's a lot of things about it, but one of the most important things in our culture is that we value visiting people face to face, as opposed to like an AI prospecting, plan or even just regular emails and phone calls and all the ways that you can interact with people. That there's just things can happen in person that will not happen any other way. And
Right.
I think humans were designed
100%.
to interact like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the timeline of time. It's a small little blip here. We've been texting. Everything else, you got to be face to face. It's like we're designed to do things. So that wasn't happening in Little Rock. I mean, like it was in Northwest Arkansas, because we acquired a company in Little Rock a couple years ago, and Tim and his marketing genius, we just kept talking about it, being frustrated about it. We just need to visit the clients. It's quit asking us all the details, but just go do it. Just visit people, visit them. Stuff happens. And so at one point, he just proved his point by getting T-shirts for everyone that said, "Visit the darn clients." Kind of like how Sam Pittman's got.
Yeah.
It was my idea because I saw a Razorback football shirt where it said, "Run the damn ball." I'm like, we need one of those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we changed the bad word.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the shirts are hilarious too. The first time I wore them around, people were like, "What?" And I'm like, and then I have to kind of explain it.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. Okay, so we're running out of time. I can't believe it. Well, I can believe it because every time we've gotten together, it's yeah, I know that's how it goes. But all right, so if you in all of David Farley's vapor of a life,
Yep.
What's the best advice you can give anybody in this lifetime?
Oh. Well, I'm going to go back to some stuff I've already pointed out, but I 100% know experientially that Jesus is king, that God is real, and therefore I take his word seriously. I read it every morning and worship, pray, and just try to find him kind of thing and seek that relationship. But there's a verse that came up a few months ago that I hadn't read before. I think it's in 2 Chronicles or something, talking about, when you're talking about the different kings and were they good or were they bad, what did they do, stuff like that. And there's one king, his opening line was, he continually sought the Lord, therefore God gave him success. And so success can look like you said, lots of different things. And I think we all want to be successful in life with our families, with our occupations, with whatever, our hobbies. And that is that really simplified it for me. Like, as long as he sought the Lord, God prospered him. That's the actual verse, depending on the translation. So the simplicity of seeking the Lord, and seeking feels a whole lot like looking for something you haven't found yet. That's what I think we skip over. We just, we're not feeling anything, so we kind of give up. But that's what seeking, you're looking for something you haven't found yet.
Waking up every day the new man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's my, singular advice is just,
know Jesus.
Seek, look for him, ask for him. Fast and pray if you got to dig into it a little bit and really find out if he's real and if he knows you. And I know what's going to happen. So, and he promises, he wants to bless us. He wants to help us with all the things we're struggling with and the desires he's put in our hearts. He said he wants to give us.
In times of struggle, what does David Farley do? I
pray. I do what King David did. I strengthen myself in the Lord, which means I just seek the Lord. It's difficult. It's confusing, but that's what it is. And he has never not shown up. So
he's in it.
It's good.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, sorry, I felt this.
It's true. So what's your advice? We've got a few more minutes. What's your advice to professionals out there? They're trying to find their way, not really sure where they're at. What's that advice there?
It's similar. Because my path was I thought I knew where I needed to go because of what I was good at and really what was kind of easy, the graphic design thing. And then I get down the road and I'm like, this is not who I am. I made a mistake. And that's what caused me to, seek deeper and ask some questions. And I believe the Lord fashioned us before we were created. He knows who we are. And
Every hair on the head.
Yeah. And so we're not going to know who we are by trying to figure it out ourselves, although you can do a lot of that, but yeah, it goes back to my other point. The simplicity of seeking the Lord, because he'll answer you. It just is, the process is confusing in my experience, because you're seeking, you're looking, and and we don't know. So
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, there's some other things I could say as far as working on your skills. A lot of obvious things that I've worked on before, but if you don't have that, we're doing kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't, and I don't say this derogatorily in any shape or form. I don't know how people do anything without the Lord. Now, don't get me wrong. He's still working on me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I struggle with that I still need to perfect.
Yeah.
That I'll never perfect.
Yeah. Make it worse.
Yeah. But I just don't know how. I don't know how people do it without the Lord, and people need the Lord.
Yeah.
And the Lord wants them. And well, since we're deep into it, let's if you don't know the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, it's not that hard. It's just the best, freest gift you ever get in the world.
Yes.
And it's the best thing for you now, and it's the best thing for eternity.
That's right.
And so please reach out to me or David. I know we'd both be happy to talk about it.
Yeah. I'll drink coffee every day. Go to lunch every day. And I'll buy. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, David,
Matt,
as always, it's been a pleasure.
it's great. Been here 6 minutes.
I know. It feels like we've been here for, it's like, I looked at the clock. I'm like, okay, wow, we didn't touch on half of what I want to, but that's all right. That gives you an excuse to come back. Say you'll come back.
I'll come back.
Perfect.
Dude, that was easy sale. Yeah.
Thanks, David. Thanks, sir. See you, man.